Could you tell us your name?
My name's Kris Kelly.
And are you from this area
Originally, I'm from up by Cleveland, but I transplanted here after I got out of the service and started working at the egg plant. So I've been here about 21 years.
And when did you start volunteering with the Red Cross?
About 8 years ago. Linda, my friend that runs with the Red Cross, she got me into it, and I knew her from work. So.
And what inspired you to start volunteering with them?
I've always been a volunteer. I was a volunteer. I was a candy striper when I was younger in the hospitals, and I started out in nursing, which I didn't finish, but I volunteered for the Navy, and I did 6 years in the Navy, and I was a Special Olympics coach in the Navy. And then when I came here, I kind of tried to help out, and I volunteered for my fire department and became a fireman. And Linda, my friend, introduced me to the Red Cross, so I started volunteering for the Red Cross, and it's been the best thing. It's given back to the community, and I believe everybody should be a Red Cross volunteer.
So what is it you typically do when you are volunteering? What is your area of special
I'm on the
interest?
disaster action team, and I go out and I provide clothing, food, and shelter for house fires or people that was displaced by floods, or we had a nursing home that got flooded out, so we put the patients up, and of course we didn't run it, but we were there to assist the medical staff. But we help people that have tragedies locally. I could go nationally, like on the hurricanes and stuff, but my son was younger, so I haven't gone, but I'm looking forward to my first deployment. So.
And how does volunteering make you feel?
Very prideful, very American, very, I think everybody should always try to give back. I just take a lot of pride in it, and you don't volunteer for notoriety. It's something personal, and you have to have the want to help people, and that's the way I help people.
Are there any incidents from disaster relief or any Red Cross activity that stick out in your mind?
One in particular, we had to evacuate a nursing home locally, and it was all medical patients, and of course we're not medically trained. I'm not, but they happened to have an Alzheimer's unit in there, and when you displace people with Alzheimer's, it's very confusing for them and stuff. And there was an older gentleman there that was very upset and everything, and they got him lying down on a cot, and he wasn't verbal, but there was fear in his eyes. And I sat and I took his hand and I started talking to him, and I sat with him about 4.5, 5 hours, and as long as I was sitting there, he was calm till he finally fell asleep, and then I left. But that there was no verbal communication. I talked to him just like I'm talking to you, but I could tell by his eyes, as long as I was talking to him, the fear started subsiding, and I'll never forget that.
Would you recommend that people
Absolutely,
volunteer?
absolutely. Everybody needs to volunteer to help out their community. We happen to be in a depressed area, but there's always something you can give. There's always somebody that has less than you do. And if you give your time, it's priceless. So if I had to put the word out to anybody, if they give a little bit of their time, just 30 minutes, it's priceless to some people. So.
And those are all the ones on the list, but do you care if I ask you a couple more?
Sure.
Great. So you've been involved with the local chapter. How have you seen the community's response change?
It has changed, because I don't know what happened before I joined the Red Cross, but the support for the Red Cross wasn't there. I don't know if something happened prior to me joining or whatever. Now they're very receptive. We've had clients that we've serviced, whether it was for a fire or a flood, that actually put on benefits to support the Red Cross and gave us the donations that they collected. So it's turned around, but we still need support. We need community support, because all the monies that we collect and all the fundraisers that we put on here, it goes back into the community. So we're only helping ourselves. and they're only helping themselves. So if they know how to play the guitar, or if they know how to do something and they put on a benefit, that's their way of giving, and we appreciate that.
That's actually a really neat lead into the next question is, how can just an average person jump in? What would...
Anybody can help. They can help us come down here, and they can help unload stuff. You can go online and they can take classes to become shelter workers. I'm actually a Red Cross instructor, and I teach sheltering and client services. There's always room for somebody else to help volunteer, whether it's to go set up a function, just to talk about Red Cross literature out in schools or anything. There's always a place for somebody to come and volunteer with the Red Cross. It's not all about just blood giving, which is a major part of the Red Cross, but there's other aspects that they can go if they're afraid of needles or whatever, like, but there's always something somebody can do to help another person.
Anything else here? Let's see. And typically you're with the disaster relief, and what sort of things does that entail?
I'm actually on the disaster action team, and I go out and service my nights. I'm on call on Wednesday nights, and we go out and support single family fires, brush fires. If the fire departments are out there, we go and take them food and water or a hot beverage, and we stay out there with them and make sure they eat, whether we give them pizza or something, and just a way for them to know that we're there supporting them, and they really appreciate it. And if it's something tragic, we're there and they talk to us, and we're just another outlet for them to talk to. Although we're not counselors, we do have counselors on staff, but it's just somebody else to talk to and to experience what they're going through with them. But it's just a blast, and I know that it's a tragic time, and we're there, and you don't feel the tragedy. You go there, you do your job. It's when you walk away when the tears start rolling, and you never know the end of the story. You go and you service a client. They may have lost everything they had in their home during a hurricane, but when your time is done, or you can't afford to give any more time because of work or whatever, you go home. You don't know the end of the story. You always wonder what happened. So you hope that it all turns out for the best, but you just never know.
Living in the community that you serve, do you ever cross paths with people you've worked with?
Absolutely, all the time. We're trying to get people at work. We talk about it all the time. When you're a volunteer, that's what you talk about. It's your life. Try to get them to join and volunteer. They come out and say, hey, we heard you was out there, or they'll see us out there collecting money. We saw you on the street. It's just, everybody knows, everybody's aware, and that makes them want to come and join. So it's a plus for everybody. But it's really fun. Need to get you out there.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you think I should have, or anything you want to make sure you say?
No, is this for volunteers, to increase the volunteer population?
It's for a lot of different things. Like for the library, we'll use it for our history. We do video histories, and then the actual Red Cross office is going to use parts of it to speak with donors and things like that. So really, it's a chance for you to get to say whatever you feel like needs said.
No, I think I did. We're very grateful that people give to us, because we wouldn't have a place. We actually have our Red Cross headquarters donated to us by a local man, which we're very grateful for, which means that, excuse me, we don't have to pay rent, which we don't have to cover the cost, which the rent that you would have for a month can go to help 2 different families. So we're very grateful for the people and the business people in the community also. They support us, and we support the community. So that's a big plus for everybody. And they need to know that when they're going out to the stores and in the community buying things, it's the same people that's giving to the Red Cross that we're going out to help them if they ever suffered a loss. So I don't know if that message is out. But it's true, the local businesses around here help us tremendously, whether it's with food. When we're in a shelter, they're providing meals for the clients that are in the shelter. And everything, if you give, it'll come back to you tenfold. And helping the Red Cross will get it back to you tenfold.
Is there somewhere that the average person could find out?
You can go online to redcross.org, and you can take the classes, and you can come down here to the headquarters, and you can talk to the people in here, and they can get you lined up for all the classes that you need. Tell them what you're interested in. If you are a registered nurse, we need nurses. We need mental health people that can come and volunteer. And more or less, you're going to be on a national level. But anybody that can volunteer some of their time is more than welcome to come down, and it's all appreciated.
Well, you mentioned the local businesses. Is there a way for people to find out typically so they can support those businesses, or is that sort of a confidential thing?
I don't know if it's a confidential thing or not. I know that Tim Hortons has sponsored us quite a bit. Bob Evans, we can call and tell that McDonald's, we have 30 clients, and they'll have 60 cheeseburgers ready for us. They give us Cambries, but they're big coolers, and we take them to the fire department, and we take them to the shelters, and it'll have hot chocolate or tea or coffee. Bob Evans whole meals, because the Red Cross, we can't fix hot meals. We're not allowed to fix meats and stuff like that. So, but when we have a shelter locally, we're allowed to go to these different places, and they support it 1,000%. So it's pretty awesome.
It's great.
It is. It's just all the schools locally. We have agreements with them, so we can set up shelters in their school. You can't just arbitrarily set up a shelter anywhere. Different churches, and you have to have enough restrooms, and you have to have bathing facilities and stuff, and it's good for us because we got 2 new schools in the district now. We got New Boston and Clay, so, and then Valley's not that old, and we have agreements with all those people. So if you have a disaster on the west side, you can go to the north side or the east side. So it's pretty well planned out. The people here are great. It's all about giving back.
A lot of work goes into planning all of these things.
Yes, absolutely. I'm a volunteer fireman, and I volunteer for the Red Cross. We're on the Scioto County Hazmat team, so we volunteer all we can. And everybody's like, how do you do what you do? You just do, And I still work. I still have a family. I have animals. I'm on the board of Sierra's Haven, and it's just, you just do. I mean, you just have a drive to do that. And you may not know that you have that drive until something sparks. Something may happen in your family or to a family friend or whatever. But when you get in here and start volunteering, it's unbelievable, because you get something that you never knew was missing. It's pretty awesome.